Again, so for the section, the important thing is starting with the ground and then build the way up. We have already a lot of information about it, basically. Actually, the section is basically this drawing, but giving some thickness to where you're going to cut, similar to the plan, because on the other side of the section, and remember you are cutting, you get to cut this wall and this wall. So these two walls are going to be popping up as elements that are going to be sliced. Okay, so that's what you're going to do now. So we can use this as a base drawing because the dimensions are exactly the same, and try to provide so the kind of thickness where you cut the walls and what kind of elements you are going to cut. Again, let's start. So again, we'll start with a pencil. If you already feel comfortable, you don't need to start with the pencil. Again, align the paper and start creating parallel lines to it. So I'm going to use this marker, and I'm going to use again the hardest pencil I have in order just to construction lines, basically. So this is my line, and what I'm going to do is you can actually stick the paper if you want, and if you stick it to the table you can just again get perpendicular lines from here, and that will basically be your construction drawings. Again, stick the paper to the table, that will be important and critical, otherwise it will start moving. So these are the main lines. So this line, this line here, this line, this line, and this line, and that's the outline, and then we'll formulate the rest. And again, okay, so now we can actually measure this element, because this is, we'll cut it until here, so we are going to cut it until the top of the roof. Basically that's where the cut is going to occur, right? So this dimension is actually this dimension, as you can see, right? So this is this, and we can actually measure it and use it for our section. So this is 4.5, so we can use 4.5 here. Can be sure it's perpendicular, and 4.5, mark it, and 4.5 here as well, and then you'll know that this dimension, the full element, so the outer line, the one that's on the back, it's going to be that, so it's going to be roughly 5.5, or what, yes, that's what we generally did. So, and we add that 5.5 on the back. So we are cutting before this wall, so actually we are going to see a lot of that wall. Not really interesting section. It would be interesting to cut it through the axis, through the arch or something like that, but since I have a Lego, I don't have a foam model, this would be an ideal element. So you should cut it where there's more openings or more elements of space that can expose the space. So now we'll continue and measure this. So this is going to be 8. And another 8. And now basically we have now the outline again. So this is the outline, but you know that we are cutting this section here, so we are actually going to use this on this area is going to be this height, right? So basically we are going to cut it to this height, so 3.5. Here. So this is where the section is going to happen, at least the rooftop. Okay, so now we have this section here, which again is the same thickness as of this wall, right? So we use the same dimension. But you can start outlining everything. So this is the outline. So on the background, so this is not being cutted, this area. But from this area onwards, that's going to start to be cutted. Right? So now these ones we can stay back, and we are going to focus on this area here. And so basically it's going to be bringing out this thickness as well. Again, if I wouldn't have moved the drawing, I could have just drawn down. So it had stick the paper to the ground. I could have just drawn, but I know that's going to be more or less the same dimension. It's going to be 8, as you see. Yeah. So it's going to be 8. And you bring it in to the top of this area, which is this part, right? So this is going to be cutted. So this is part is going to be what needs to be cutted. So again, 0.8. And I'm going to use the same dimension here, which is 1. It's going to be 1 centimeter. This one, and this one is going to be another one. So now basically what this allows you are going to cut this wall, and this wall is this part, and you have that top element, this top element here is going to be that top element there. So that's it. And obviously, since we have this, because we have this column, let's say here, it's another 0.8, again the same, and again with the perpendicular you pull it down. So now what are we actually cutting? We are actually cutting this area, which is this area here, and this area, which is going to be this area here, and then it doesn't have an ending, so it aligns with the window, right? So that basically aligns there, and it continues to this area. So basically it's mirrored. So that's what we need to do. So now this cut, and so this window measurement, you can also extract it from here as well, of course. So it's 1 centimeter, and you put 1 centimeter, and basically that's what's going to be cutted. So now that we have this cutted, and this cut, and we have another 0.8 here, this wall. again, make it perpendicular. Right? So now we just need to fill up what actually is being cut. So this is on the back plane. So actually we are cutting this area, right? This area. So we see the full wall here, but we see cutting the rooftop and this element. So it's a composition between these two. So what we're going to do is pick up the soft pencil, start marking up for sure what's going to be cut. And again, the ground is very important. Don't ever, because things do not float. Again, there's nothing being cut before, so there's nothing on that line. But then there's this wall again, the wall that goes up, which you can see it in the plan. So we are cutting here, right? There's this wall, you see that wall, but you are cutting this area as well, which is this wall here. Okay, and then because you have a roof, you continue with this again, and then you have the thickness of that element that goes above, so this area. Okay, so now we have what's been cutted. So all other lines are going to be the external lines. So this wall here is going to be here, that line, which is this one, which is actually, sorry, what you can also do is put out, align the plan to double check, right? Align the plan and start using it. So this wall is going to be this wall, that's correct, right? And yeah, so all good. Okay, and basically all of these elements are on the background. So this is the window and everything. So now we are going to use the pencil in order to render again. So I'm picking immediately the 4, which is the thickest that I have, and make it really expressive. You want really to know that, yes, this is where you cut the object. Yep, and get it on the end. So all the other lines are going to be back lines. So you pick up on the thinner pen, 0.2, and start connecting them. Again, you can do it with the ruler if you prefer. And this line is this line. So that one there. Right? So basically, this is what we get as a section. And again, then what you need to do is to render it. And it's really critical that you make, again, you always cut the ground. If you are in elevation, you cut the ground. If you are in sections, you cut the ground. So you always are cutting ground, so you should deserve a big thick line. Then it's up to you if you want to do a hatching or you want to full it. So this is how you render it, and becomes a full section, rendered section. So now that you want to give also some sort of an expression, the same, similar to the plan or something, or similar to the door. Actually, here in the door, I'm going to make it even more full because it's getting a bit distractive because I have those shadings. So I'm going to make here a full because it's the entrance part. So that's basically